We're going to begin with the possibility tonight of a lot of new money coming to the folks in charge of getting visitors to come to Western New York. Erie County's bed tax could expand not just to cover hotel rooms, but also things like Airbnbs. And Visit Buffalo Niagara hopes that all of that money from the tax will go toward tourism efforts. The law that's currently in place is actually from the 70s, long before Airbnb or Vrbo even existed. So some Erie County legislators and the county comptroller are pushing to amend the law to add these newer services as to what qualifies for the bed tax. This all went before the county legislature earlier today.
So the big change in this, I think the one that'll get the most headlines, is that we would apply the tax to these online hosting platforms. And again, I think that's only fair because it levels the playing field. It also would, we believe, add a significant amount of revenue. How much, we're not sure. Currently, the tax takes in, give or take, around $11 million a year, and we put that money to good use.
Well, we want to get some perspective tonight on how much of a difference that money could make in terms of bringing tourists here and helping our local economy. So joining me live now is Patrick Kaler. He is president and CEO of Visit Buffalo Niagara. And before we talk about the money side of this, let's talk about this potential change. And it does seem like there's support in the legislature to add something like an Airbnb so that they're also paying this tax. We talked about this, I don't know, what's it been, maybe a month or maybe a little longer. What would be your argument as to why that should be included in the bed tax?
Sure. So this puts everybody on the same playing field. So hotels are paying the bed tax, and so why shouldn't the Airbnbs? It's the exact same thing as staying in a hotel, but you're staying in somebody's home or a just another rental property, if you will. And so this just, again, is part of that overall visitor economy. I relate it back to even rideshare. You know, I can't tell visitors how they traverse around our community. I can't also tell them where they have to stay, and it's just part of the sharing economy now. Back in 1974, we didn't have this type of an opportunity now, and so it's just putting everybody on that same playing field. And this isn't something unique to Erie County. This is happening across the country. There are several counties within New York State that are already enacting this as well, and it's just leaving money on the table, both bed tax as well as sales tax.
Yeah, because when you look at it, I mean, it's mostly visitors, right, who are paying this tax. It's not like it's something being added mostly to people who live here. I wanted to have you back in to have sort of a bigger conversation about the money aspect of this, because I can remember doing a story with you 4, 5, 6 years ago, and we talked about the budget that you have to promote Western New York versus the budget for, let's say, Pittsburgh or Cleveland, these other cities that we're competing with.
Correct.
Right? And despite having the bed tax, not all of that money goes to Visit Buffalo Niagara. No. That's another big component of this, right? Putting a lot more money toward tourism.
Absolutely. So currently we receive about $3.8 million from the county, and all of the bed tax gets put into the general fund right now, and then it's dispersed from there. So like I said, we get about $3.8 million. The convention center gets 1.9. But like you said, we're being outspent by our competition. So Cleveland has a budget of over $19 million. Pittsburgh has a budget over $17 million. Chattanooga, Memphis, Tennessee also have budgets in the $14 million range. Grand Rapids, Michigan has a budget of close to $12 million. So, and we go up against these destinations when we're trying to lure meetings and conventions, sporting events, or even just leisure traveler. We can't even spend the same type of leisure dollars for branding the community the way those other cities do.
And so the change here, again, you're going to get some additional revenue if you're also adding this bed tax to Airbnbs, Vrbos, these other rentals. I think the comptroller there said about $11 million total for the bed tax.
Correct.
Is that now, or is that what it will be anticipated if you add in those other services?
Right, that was last year's dollar figure. Just doing some, napkin math. I went back to the office today and looked at what Key Data, which is a platform that we utilize to kind of monitor VBR and Airbnb, and probably close to $2 million would have been generated in that 3% tax rate for bed tax last year. So, and as people are starting to travel more and people are getting out, those numbers are just going to continue to rise. And it's also based on the hotel rates that the hotels are charging. And right now across the country and around the world, visitors are paying more for hotel rooms. Just last year, our average daily rate for Erie County was $124 a night. So that's pretty significant.
Yeah, it absolutely is. More than a lot of places that might surprise you. So if we do a little bit of the math here, 11 million before, you add another 3 million to it, maybe a little more on top of that as prices go up and as more people are visiting. What would Visit Buffalo Niagara do if you're going from a $4 million budget to a $14 million?
Sure. So right now, really, we advertise in a 300-mile radius outside of Buffalo. We would be able to expand that so much greater and do much more destination advertising. We have great lift coming into our community, and just looking at potential growth markets for us where Washington, D.C., Boston, Philadelphia, their propensity to come to our destination is pretty high, and they also spend more time here, but we're not able to go into those markets with a message. We also have great air service into those destinations. Well, you look at our top 10 states for visitation, all of those states have direct air service into Buffalo, and we can't do any of those marketing activities there. So we would definitely go in with a heavier advertising by both TV streaming, print, digital, whatever it might be. We would also spend some greater dollars as far as luring meetings and conventions and sporting groups to our destination. Typically, we budget about $200,000 for bid fees, incentives to bring meetings and conventions here. You know, we might be giving somebody $10,000 to bring a meeting here. That will have an economic impact of $3 million. So the more that we have in our coffers to do things like that, especially in our shoulder seasons, will just benefit our community, will benefit the sales tax base as well, not just the bed tax. And then that also translates into a tax relief to our community, to our citizens of Erie County. Last year, it was a $532 tax relief per household just on tourism alone.
Wow, the money that people spent when they came here
exactly
saves us from having to pay taxes. In 5 seconds, is this going to pass the county legislature?
I absolutely hope so. I'm lighting candles, saying prayers. I'm going to have my rosary beads at the next meeting, and we're going to make this happen.
Next meeting, we'll know. They'll vote. There
will be a public hearing next, just to get input. I think that more of the Airbnb owners will probably come to that, and then it will go to the full ledge for vote at that point.
Okay, we'll continue to follow it. Patrick Kaler, President and CEO of Visit Buffalo Niagara. Thanks for helping us understand this and keeping the math simple for the most part.